Hello and welcome to Nile TV International's continuous coverage of the ceasefire deal, the truce, the 14-day truce in the American-Israeli-Iranian war. Will it be a ceasefire that will easily uphold, or will it be a shaky, fragile ceasefire? Already we are seeing signals that indicate this might be a shaky, fragile one, but in fact also a lot of observers believe that all parties, especially the Americans and the Iranians, excluding the Israelis here, that the Americans and the Iranians, they both want this war to end. They both want to decrease the pain, and they both want to declare a victory. Actually, both have declared victory already. With us now live over the phone is Major General Osama Kaber, the strategic and military expert. Major General, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes, Major General, the latest that we have witnessed, of course, on this first day of the ceasefire is the Israeli attack on Lebanon. It seemed to be one of those Gaza genocide days, Israel killing and injuring hundreds of Lebanese and targeting the heart of Beirut in a way that hasn't been seen since 1982 and the Israeli invasion and occupation of Lebanon back then. The Iranians say that Lebanon was part of the deal. The Pakistani mediators also say the same, but the Americans say it was not part of the deal. Who should we believe? That's the first question. And second question is, how will the Lebanon factor affect the ceasefire deal?
Good morning, Mr. Abdurrahim, and definitely you are right, what you said exactly. So first of all, before we answer your question, if you let me explain that, as you understand that Israel actually is going against any ceasefire on this war against Iran. And that's why the first action we have committed is to undermine the ceasefire by start targeting Lebanon, specifically Beirut, this very dense populated area. And through that, they made another problem, which leads to your question. First thing that what came actually in the proposal of the Pakistani foreign minister, that no airstrikes, no attacking on Iran, and specifically it was written like this, and other fronts. It was not mentioned by Lebanon by the name itself. So, and that's why quickly we heard that Donald Trump says second day that Lebanon is not a part of that proposal, not part of the deal. So that made the confusion and the distraction on the general public mind.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yes.
Thank you for the valuable explanation. It's the first time I personally hear this explanation. So other fronts, so the Americans must have interpreted this as the Arab Gulf countries, and the Iranians must have interpreted this as Lebanon.
Exactly, and here comes another question directly to the Pakistani Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Why specifically you want it like other fronts? Why didn't you specify and define the names of those fronts? And that's why now we can see Israel is targeting Beirut very, very aggressively and very strongly, and I think 300 people got killed up till now. This is very, very dangerous, and as you just said, Mr. Abdurrahim, they are trying to make another, let's say, replica, another copy of what's happening in Gaza. This is very dangerous, and I would say that we undermine the whole issue, as you understand that Iran also has another one, another time, they locked the Hormuz Strait again, which means the ceasefire agreement seems to be very fragile, very vulnerable, and could be, unfortunately, easily broken. Yes, sir.
Yes, Major General. I'll get to the Hormuz Strait very shortly, but staying with Lebanon, in fact, the Israelis haven't hidden anything. The Israeli Defense Minister Katz already said, like maybe a week ago or so, that Lebanon will face the Gaza scenario. So, I mean, it was not hidden. And Gaza means genocide, and that's what the International Criminal Court is talking about, of course, as it has laid charges against the Israeli Prime Minister and other Israeli officials. How can the Lebanon, away from the ceasefire deal with Iran, how can the world save Lebanon from facing genocide? I mean, Mr. Salem, the Lebanese Prime Minister, just said a short while ago that he's calling on all of Lebanon's friends to intervene and to help Lebanon in any way possible they can. We know that Egypt wants to help Lebanon, the Arab League wants to do so, France wants to do so, and Mr. Macron has been very vocal about this. But how do you think Lebanon could get the help it deserves in the face of a potential genocide?
Right, sir. Of course, that's a great responsibility, very highly needed responsibility to be thrown on the international community. We don't need to see another genocide taking place in Lebanon and Beirut specifically now. What Israel is doing is to undermine the ceasefire. That's one. Second thing is that because they had too many failures actually to intervene and to make military intervention from the southern part of the Litani River, and that's why now they are trying to conduct a new genocide just to make sure that they will destroy the whole populated area up there, and that would cause like thousands, maybe millions of IDPs, herein I mean the internal displaced people.
Yes.
This is a responsibility that imposes itself directly in the face of the whole international community, specifically the United States of America, who is observing that, watching that, and they need to take quick and very, very affirmative and positive actions just to stop this Israeli aggression, which needs to be tried in the international community in front of the GCC at the ICC.
Yes. And I wonder where the Security Council is. I mean, is the Security Council supposed to continue discuss the Strait of Hormuz? I mean, okay, there's a ceasefire deal. And where's the Board of Peace? Where is Mr. Trump's Board of Peace? So I'm just wondering, I mean, who can or should intervene here to stop this bloodbath?
It's the United States of America. Who else? Who else could impose leverage in Israel? Who else could stop this crazy actions taken by a right-wing government who is going like flames, burning fire here and there, and
yes,
they wouldn't stop doing that until they would achieve some targets, they would say, and objectives on their mind. Who are not able to achieve them 3 years now. How could they achieve them this way? How could they attack people, peaceful people in very dense areas like Beirut or southern Beirut? This is very dangerous. There's a new genocide. The whole international community now is responsible on that. I would say the Egyptian diplomacy again is working like in a quick mechanism, but that wouldn't be pretty much enough. Specifically as time is critical, and it seems that Israel now is still like to be out in conscience and to conduct what they're conducting in a very crazy and against international law, against humanity, against religions.
Yes.
This is very, very greedy.
Yes, Major General, still with Lebanon, Lebanon is part of this question. Now, 3 things have happened today that threaten the ceasefire. In the morning, there was a trading of drones and between Iran and some Arab Gulf countries. Some Arab Gulf countries accused Iran of hitting energy stations there and water stations there, and Iran Iran said that one of its energy stations was hit. That was in the morning, and there was the first, fear of having the ceasefire being broken. And then we had the Lebanon. It really didn't stop, although Hezbollah did not target Israel. In fact, we were following the news, and we understood that Hezbollah were waiting for U.S. President Donald Trump to wake up, because, I mean, there is a time differential, of course, between the America and the Middle East. So,
right.
Yeah, so they were waiting for him to wake up to hear his interpretation of the thing, and they had expected, perhaps, and Iran had expected that Trump would pressure Netanyahu into stopping this, but obviously the Americans later said, Lebanon has nothing to do with the deal. And then later in the day, there were reports coming from the Strait of Hormuz that, navigation is not fully clear. There are problems. Iran is threatening to close it again. America warning against this. And just maybe this past hour, the international, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, the IRGC, didn't say it was going to close the Strait of Hormuz, but it said it is offering alternative routes to avoid the mines, in the strait. So obviously there are mines, or the IRGC are saying now there are mines. Which of the three elements that I talked about threaten the ceasefire more? Lebanon, the Strait of Hormuz, or the trading of drones and missiles between Iran and the Arabian Gulf countries? And of course, if you have any other potential reasons.
Right, and we will conclude that. Before I answer the question, I would say within the ceasefire agreements, generically it happens. You wouldn't find quickly find stop actions. If you remember that the officials would gather the day after tomorrow in Islamabad, Pakistan,
yes,
by the attendance of J.D. Vance himself, Vice President of the United States of America, plus the other officials from Egypt, from Pakistan, from KSA, Oman, and Turkey, I would say.
Correct.
And on Saturday, they will have the first meeting. So we are expecting to find, if they could make it, to find a real ceasefire on Saturday. So till that day comes, actually, you will find some of these skirmishes and clashes in between the two counterparts. Maybe some would launch some UAVs, RPVs, maybe an airstrike happening there or there. But it's very fragile, specifically because of what Israel is doing in this southern Lebanon in the meantime. And that's why the underminer here comes at the first place is Israel. Second is Iran will start launching another UAVs and RPVs against some other places like water disseminations and infrastructure installations within the GCC countries. It's something that they call the fingers around the figures,
right,
for everyone. Right. But I would say again, the United States comes at the first place of responsibility. They have the tools and the full power to impose leverage on everyone, specifically Israel.
Yes, General. Yes. And indeed, you've mentioned a very important point. So you are telling us basically, just don't worry, at least until Saturday. I mean, at least until the parties meet face to face. Then, even if some incidents happen here or there, this shouldn't be of great damage. Of course, the Americans are already issuing warnings to the Iranians, warning them from not attending the talks in Islamabad, because Iran has said, there's been a breach, we're going to rethink this again, or they might play around with the Strait of Hormuz. So, but obviously, probably, the sides will meet. They will meet on Saturday, and in the upcoming days, and nothing major should derail anything before that. So the next question would be, Major General. They're going to be talking about the 15 American points and the 10 Iranian points. But even the 10 points presented by Iran there's a problem here. The U.S. President, when he announced the ceasefire, he said that these are good bases for negotiations. And then today, we've heard from the U.S. White House spokesperson, the spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, saying that, you know, Mr. Trump tore apart the paper and threw it in the garbage, something like that. So there is a lot of confusion about really, I mean, what are they really going to be talking about? Are these the Iranian demands? Are these the American conditions, you know? I mean, it's not very clear to the public opinion around the world as to what exactly will they talk about, and what has been accepted and what hasn't been accepted by both sides.
Right, and to dismantle this question, I was a bit much composed. I would say, since I heard Trump yesterday says the paper of 10 points of Iran seems to be acceptable and we can talk about that. I myself was a little bit astonished and was wondering, because these 10 points most likely to be the same been offered by Iran something like 10 days ago and totally been refused and quickly by Donald Trump himself. So yesterday he said, yes, we can talk about that. And as you said, Mr. Abdurrahim, now maybe he shut it up or like turn it up and throw it in the garbage. Yeah, it could be happening too, because the contradictions and paradoxes within the United States administration, speeches and talks and the perceptions have confused like the whole world now. Again, the main issue here that may undermine the whole proposal is the Beirut under attack. I would say that's the first like knife within to cut off the way of this ceasefire agreement. And if you can hear today that Judy Vance, when he spoke from is it Bucharest or Budapest? I can't remember. Budapest.
Yes.
From Hungary.
Yes.
And he said something that, you know, that's also something that we need to worry about. That he said it's pretty much fragile, which means the man maybe knows something about what's happening within the couple of days. But he will be leading to Islamabad, by the way.
Yes.
So we will all wish to luck for the people there. We will all hope that peace will take place within the Middle East. And we will ask the United States, and we call them like quickly do something of what's happening in Beirut, or otherwise that would be like a great blow-up that would blast in the face of everyone responsible for that.
Right.
No one is away from that.
Right, absolutely. And you know, Major General, some observers have indicated that because both of the Americans and the Iranians were really wanted the ceasefire, they really, both sides, really want an end to the war. That's why both sides were ready to accept anything at any given, you know, just to, before the deadline, so that things don't reach the point of no return. Because obviously, as Egypt has warned, you know, that next step by Mr. Trump and that potential retaliation by Iran against the Arab Gulf countries and the energy stations there, and the civilization dying, the claim of Trump or the threat. I mean, that's
back to Stone Age and Ice Age and Jurassic Age and everything.
That's the point of no return, basically. So it seems that both sides, I don't know if you agree with these observers who say so, it seems that both sides wanted to cling to anything, just get anything in their hands to say, okay, avoid the thing and let's sit together and then we'll work it out. Do you agree?
Yes, Mr. Abdurrahim, I totally agree with you. Or why Donald Trump accepted the 10 points paper that he refused 10 days ago, which means the man has the great intention also to pull out of this war.
Yes.
The problem here lies on Israel, because Israel doesn't want the United States to go out of that. And at the same time, Israel cannot continue like the striking Iran, because like in the military schedule of capabilities, I would say they are not efficient enough to continue conducting this work alone. So we need the support of the United States. The United States now have recognized that they've been into such what to be so-called a war of attrition. So they are spending too much money. The Hormuz Strait is locked, and the oil prices are jumping up high quickly like crazy. So Donald Trump is a businessman mindset. He wants to pull out, he wants to save his money, he wants to get quickly to a status quo of calm or like to put out the fire, but see what happened from Israel. Again, every time I will stress on that. What's happening in Beirut is the mine that will blast suddenly, so it will break up everything. And I would say J.D. Vance might go back to the United States without knowing anything from Islamabad. Hopefully that the Americans will impose their leverage and they will impose their word on Israel and to enforce them actually to stop what they are doing, specifically in Lebanon or otherwise. That's a catastrophic situation.
Right.
Is living up ahead, yes.
Right. A very important point that you are stressing upon, Major General. A very important point. Because my next and final question was going to be, if they agree, if the two sides agree on uranium and on Hormuz, then things should be clear. I mean, if the Americans get the uranium they want to a third party or whatever, and the promises of of Iran abandoning its nuclear program, or just make it for peaceful means with the supervision of the international community, and if that's what the Americans want from the Iranians, and if they also get the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I was going to say, don't you think this is enough? But obviously what you are warning from, Major General, is that you are saying that Lebanon, Beirut, and the Israeli aggressions there, and the potential of another genocide war there, like the one that happened in Gaza, is the thing that threatens everything. This is what you're saying, Major General.
Yes, sir, exactly. And if you can see here, again, the U.S. wants to pull out, but the Israelis now are dragging them back again to the field of this military operation.
Yes. Because
they are undermining the whole issue. So I can see quickly and I can see clearly and very pure. U.S. now have recognized that they need to pull out of this war, and the Israelis now are trying quickly and as fast as they can do it to pull them back to the operation theater, because they are not convinced they have achieved their goals as targets up to now. However, in every case, they are not able to conduct that. So hopefully that will find the wisdom and a sort of good recognition from the U.S. administration to stop that fire before it burns everyone.
Thank you very much, as always, for your time and your valuable insight, Major General Osama Kaber, the strategic and military expert. Thank you, sir.
Was my pleasure.
And thank you for watching Nile TV's coverage of the ceasefire deal, the 14-day ceasefire or truce in the American-Israeli-Iranian war. Please stay with us.